political anarchy.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live. It's a freaking Wednesday. I'm still fucking tired from the State of the Union last night where I fell asleep during the last 10-15 minutes. And apparently that's the part that all the right-wingers are faux outraged about this year. Remember last year it was the cancer kid. This year it's a soldier that they sent into Venezuela to take out Nicolas Maduro, and he got his shins shot off or something. He's like Cotton Hill. I guess he took out 50 men in Venezuela trying to kidnap Nicolas Maduro. Hey to everybody over on the TikTok. I like you people now. We were going to give up on TikTok. I didn't want to give up too soon. I wanted to give it a whole month, but like now it seems like TikTok's popping off. I don't smoke pot on stream now because it's against TikTok's rules. So in order to bring you the show on TikTok, I have to make sacrifices that I really didn't want to have to make. So I appreciate you guys being here. If you don't mind, like the stream. If you guys on YouTube don't care, like the stream. We're trying to grow. We find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Though, I was a little late today. 4 p.m. might be a little early for me. I had to get in bed early last night. So the soldier that they're upset that Democrats didn't stand for, that's the part where I actually went back to the daybed back here and cuddled up with a cat and went to sleep. You can see that clip on TikTok and YouTube on the shorts. I went back here and cuddled up with the cat, went to sleep. At first I was faking, but then I think I actually fell asleep. I appreciate DJ Dub. Byronic tried to call me to wake me up. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. We got a lot of news to talk about. We've got reaction to the state of I called it the Snoozion, because that's what happened to me. I went to sleep. We're going to talk about Kristi Noem's made-up cannibal immigrant story. The FBI has raided the L.A. Unified School District Superintendent. That happening in just the last couple of hours. A mom found alive after 25 years wants nothing to do with her family. An Amish mom is, I guess, pleading insanity in the death of her 4-year-old kid, claiming it was a spiritual delusion that caused her to kill her kid. We've got video of a roommate in California spraying insect repellent into a couple's food. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. And if we go to war with Iran, we'll cover that live as it happens. Good evening, peeps. Soup, DJ Dub. Welcome in, Avalon, Holiday. Good to see you, friends. Princess Kimberly, be safe while you're driving. Got us on in the background. Warlord, welcome. Love all you people over on TikTok. Clyde and Pay Chick. J Rude. There's a lot of you over there. I can't name all of you, but we love you. Thank you for being here. We're gonna find out what that news be doing. I guess we're going to sports cards. Good to see you, my friend. Good evening. I think we had a lot of fun last night. As much fun as one could have during the dystopian State of the Union that we watched. One person who didn't have a lot of fun was a assault victim of the DHS. Remember the woman? I think she was the one who was shot 4 or 5 times by ICE, and ICE lied about her, and they had to drop the charges. She was at the State of the Union last night, and they had her escorted out.
Now, democracynow.org. I'm
Hey, Amy.
As we continue to cover President Trump's State of the Union, we're joined now by Aliya Rahman, who attended the speech as a guest of Minneapolis Congressmember Ilhan Omar. Last month, federal immigration officers in Minneapolis violently dragged Aliya out of her car. She told
she was the autistic woman they dragged out of her car.
Injury, but they ignored her pleas for medical attention. She had been headed to a doctor's appointment when she was dragged out of her car. Video of the...
I mixed up the DHS assault victims because there's so goddamn many of them.
Incident went viral. Last month, she testified at a hearing held by congressional Democrats in Capitol Hill.
I was carried face down through the street by my cuffed arms and legs while yelling that I had a brain injury and was disabled. I now cannot lift my arms normally. I was never asked for ID, never told I was under arrest, never read my rights, and never charged with a crime.
That was Aliya Rahman testifying on Capitol Hill. Last night, she was removed from the gallery at the State of the Union, then arrested and jailed. She got out at like 4 o'clock this morning. Aliya, welcome back to Democracy Now! Tell us what you went through last night, and then what happened to you in Minneapolis.
Thanks for having me back, Amy. Yeah, the reason I am wearing the same outfit I was at the State of the Union and in the media I did with Representative Omar, I was a guest of Representative Ilhan Omar's, is because I got out from a hospital visit and the custody of Capitol Police just before 4 a.m. And I had already been scheduled to talk to you, so I figured I would come and tell folks what happened. I was not just removed.
And we appreciate it.
I was arrested so physically that 2 other attendees upstairs attempted to intervene in officers pulling on my shoulders after I told them I have a torn rotator cuff tendon and multiple cartilage tears in both of my shoulders. That is what happened in the audio you just played. That is why I cannot lift my arms normally. 2 women in the gallery, and thank you to the woman in the white shirt with the red writing who said, I need you to take your hands off of her and just let her walk with her cane. They did not do that, and only when their own sergeant intervened in a back stairwell of that building to say, stop, we need to get her medical care and a wheelchair, did they stop tugging on me, while again I was saying disabled. Amy, would you like to know why I was told that I was removed and arrested? The sergeant of arms told me it was because I was standing up, silently. No buttons, no facial expressions, no gestures, no signs, not one sound. Standing up. There are only 2 things you can do at the State of the Union, and they are sit down and stand up. All kinds of people were standing up all night, me too. I stood up at the moment that I heard this man say some of the most racist things I have heard come out of any leader's mouth about the people of my city, and continue to trash talk my state of Minnesota and glorify DHS, the people who did this to me and who are being allowed to roam free on the streets.
If you could very quickly, I'm so sorry this happened to you, but explain why you have a torn rotator cuff, why you have tendons ripped in both
Is that from
shoulders.
pulling her out of her car?
Yes, I have a tendon ripped in one shoulder And then in that same shoulder, another cartilage rip, and in my left shoulder, 2 cartilage tears with what my doctor called ragged pieces of tissue hanging in the joint that may need to be operated on. That happened because in the audio you played, I was talking about when I was pulled out of my car. Most people see the first part of that video. I was put on the ground behind my car, cuffed behind my back, and then carried through the street. Face down, I was lifted up by my wrists and ankles with my hands already cuffed behind my back. And then once I was in the Whipple Center, instead of getting me a walking aid because I'm disabled, they just jerked me around by my shoulders for a while.
Just assaulting disabled women on the street.
And
Thank you, Republicans.
Really wonder if these folks have noticed.
And all the Democrats that went along with supporting ICE over the last 20, 24 years.
You fuel my spirit. I was arrested for standing up. This administration wins 0 prizes for their command of metaphors, my friend. The reason I stood up at that moment was not to disrupt anything. I was silent, arms by my side. I stood up because hearing this level of racism, I wanted to see with my own eyes, unmediated by anyone's lens, who had still come to this building to govern, if there were any grown-ups down there. Who really believed this lie that was used to brutalize our city, my body? And if unchecked, this is the lie that will be used to brutalize communities of color, all sorts of communities, as people in this country, as black folks, indigenous folks, as this has happened for centuries based on lies. And you know what? I can't think of ever a time that someone has been very physically arrested or arrested at all or even removed for silently standing up at the State of the Union. That is what you do.
Thomas, you say if you don't like this country, move. I say I love this country and I love freedom of speech and the Constitution. If you don't like it, you should move. 4,400 people have been illegally detained by ICE. They have killed dozens, including shooting a citizen in the face and the back. We're not a papers, please nation. We are supposed to be a nation based on freedom and personal liberty. So if you don't like the Constitution, then you are welcome to get the fuck out.
The only reason I can think that they thought me standing silently there was a protest is because by this point, my body, unafraid, even if broken, standing and looking at these people in their face, well, that must be a protest to you.
You know, I wonder if there's a charge standing without applauding, because certainly Republicans stood up dozens of times throughout President Trump's State of the Union and applauded. But
yes,
you
Amy,
stood
and
silently.
Actually, the moment that they physically started removing me by my shoulders, all kinds of Republicans were standing up. I know they were Republicans because who was seated next to me? The sheriff of Coffee County, Alabama, and the mayor of one of the mayors from Nevada.
I love her Minnesota necklace.
None of them were arrested.
See, she is a patriot, and she is someone who loves her state and her country, and she puts her life on the line to be able to speak out about the injustice she has faced. Her civil liberties were trampled on, her Fourth Amendment rights violated, and that should appall all of us. If it doesn't appall you, you're not a patriot, and you need to get the fuck out of my country.
Much quieter than them.
Well, Aliya Rahman, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Arrested at the State of the Union last night, just got out a few hours before this broadcast came right to the studio. Aliya was a guest of Representative Ilhan Omar. Last month, federal immigration agents in Minneapolis violently dragged her out of her car as she told them she was disabled. Video of the incident went viral. We'll also link to our previous conversation with her after that attack. Thanks for watching.
So Representative Al Green also removed from the State of the Union. That happens every year now. It's his common practice to get thrown out. He'll usually stand up and raise his cane at Trump. It's perfectly fine, in my opinion. Here is Trump entering for the State of the Union.
Right now,
you will notice Representative Al Green over here after Trump stops to take a selfie with whoever this dipshit is.
I'm looking at it right now. It said something in
Some
reference
sycophant in the Republican Party.
People are not apes, in reference to that post that the president had on his social media account, a racist post that was offensive. That clearly a sign of protest there. Also notable as the president's making his way down toward the Supreme Court justices, David, is some Democrats didn't even bother to turn around as the president entered the House chamber tonight, and Democrat leadership,
there you can see
Jeffries, was seated.
Green.
What is notable right now as I'm watching the president, oh, look at this, Al Green, Congressman Al Green holding up a sign. I believe I'm looking at it right now. It said something in reference to apes. Black people are not apes, in reference to that post that the president had on his social media account.
Black people are not apes. That's what it said. Black people aren't apes. He was escorted out eventually. We noticed that one of the Republicans tried to fight him, and what we didn't see last night as we were watching this was that Senator Mark Wayne Mullen came for him. Here is where he's being escorted out. He's still showing off his sign.
And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today our border is secure.
Yes, chant USA at the black man as you're silencing him and escorting him out. Very USA thing to do indeed.
And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today our border is secure.
The Representative Al Green was on the floor of the House earlier today talking about his removal from the State of the Union.
For 30 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and still I rise. And I rise, Mr. Speaker,
Sound like you rise and farted.
Unbossed, fearless, unafraid Democrat. I rise to Speaker with a special message, one that concerns events that transpired right here on the floor of the House of Representatives last night. I rise, Mr. Speaker, to speak truth to power and truth about power. To speak truth to power, you have to simply say to power, we have a problem, and let us solve the problem. But if you speak truth about power, you say, power, there's a problem.
But he's getting ready to say, check out the hook while the DDJ revolves it.
Let's start with the genesis of what occurred last night. And that genesis is a meme in some worlds, but it was actually something AI concocted, and it had President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama being represented as apes, portrayed as apes. I find this unacceptable, and a good many people of goodwill found it unacceptable as well. Well, as a person of goodwill, finding this unacceptable, I wanted to do more than simply tweet something about it or write something about it. I wanted the president to know that people of goodwill will confront him and let him know that he's doing things that are unacceptable. It is unacceptable to portray
it was
Homo
like some
sapiens,
flash animation,
especially persons of African ancestry, as apes. A little bit more than in some worlds of the ape family, and a little bit less than a Homo sapien. Something that's sort of in a twilight zone. Maybe the missing link, if you will. Where we're not the missing link. We're as human as anybody else. And we're going to demand the respect that everybody else is accorded. This is not a world where you're going to relegate some human beings to a lower life form simply because it pleases you and a host of people that you happen to communicate with. This is unacceptable. So right here, I sat on this row. I was over 1 seat away from the aisle, but when the president approached, I then approached the aisle. And when I approached the aisle, I wanted him to see a sign that I had that simply said, but it was truthful, I believe it was powerful. Black people are not apes. Black people aren't apes. And I flashed that for the president to see. Based upon the way he turned away and tried to move briskly, it appears that he got the message but did not want to embrace the message. And as a result of this, he made his way up to give his speech, and I continued to stand silently holding my signage. My signage was my means of silently protesting. There were other persons over in this area who were protesting, and they were doing it peacefully. They had on signage. It was displayed on a cap, is what I saw on one person. A cap, and it had language on it. These kinds of things are done in this chamber quite regularly.
I think the kids say no cap is good.
Often, I won't differ with them, but we'll all have to stop if we're going to stop. Some of us, every one of us, will have to behave in a similar fashion. Well, I stood there. I don't know, I'm old. And my colleagues became rather disturbed about it. I did not create a disturbance. I stood there silently. They created the disturbance. They're the people who grabbed and ripped my signage. They're the people who said things to me as I traversed the aisle and tried to make my way out of the chamber. They're the people who became rather rambunctious and behaved in some ways in an unacceptable fashion. So if there is to be some concern about who created the disturbance, then you have to look at the video and you will see. I'm saying this to you because I have heard talk of someone wanting to censure me again. I have already been censured. This happened some time ago.
Go ahead and censure me.
Signage that I use to indicate that while I have been censured, my signage indicates that I have not been silenced, and I will not be silenced. Censured but not silenced. This is when the president was here for a joint session of Congress, and the president was indicating that he had a mandate, and I wanted him to know that he didn't have a mandate to cut Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. And I spoke up. I was seated in that very same area, and for this, I was removed and I was censured. But for this that occurred last evening, there should not be a censorship of me. If anybody is going to be censured, it should be the people who became so rambunctious as to create a disturbance. I didn't do that. I silently stood, and I would do it again. The first time when I engaged the president, it was with spontaneity. I did not plan this. I responded to this because I was concerned about Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. And well, I should have been, because about $1 trillion has been cut from health care. And we are still fighting to get subsidies so that people can pay premiums that they can afford. This is a part of that affordability that the president refuses to recognize. But I did this with a degree of spontaneity. It was not planned. What I did last night was planned. But it was only planned after I did have a conversation with my staff and asked them to tell me why I should and should not come over. We had that conversation, and I made the decision myself. My staff did not make the decision, but I welcomed their input. And I came here to behave as I did and engage in peaceful, silent protest. Peaceful, silent protest. However, my colleagues caused it to metamorphose into something that was less than what some persons would call the standards that we've set for ourselves here in the House of Representatives. So I'm not going to give a long message today. I wanted to make this message such that clear, such that people would understand.
Well, he's got 30 minutes of time, so
believe in what I did.
I would consider that kind of long,
not
actually.
Portray persons of African ancestry as apes. This is unacceptable given the history in this country of caricatures such as this being utilized against people of color at an earlier time. And the president would take us back to those ugly days when you could call black people N-words with impunity, when you could demand that black people show respect that was not deserved, when the black people were relegated to the back of the bus, they were relegated to the balcony of the movie and the bottom of the jails. This is unacceptable. Black people are not going back, Mr. President. Black people are going to move forward with the rest of this country. And I'm giving notice today that we will not tolerate this level of injustice emanating from the highest office in this country, from the presidency. We will not tolerate it, Mr. President. I speak for a good many people of goodwill, of all hues, who have decided they will not tolerate it. Now, one final word on something else before I bring you to my closing. It seems to me that the news media, a good many, not all of the outlets, not all of them, but a good many of these major outlets have decided that they will determine when a problem that African Americans are having to suffer, they will determine when it is worthy of being televised, worthy of when it should be challenged, the problem itself should be taken on. And they will decide who is going to solve our problems. If we allow other people who, for whatever reasons, have a timeline that does not coincide with our suffering, then we do ourselves a disservice. We cannot allow some of these major news sources to decide when they will give us the opportunity to protest our problems. Those who would deny us this opportunity to engage in peaceful protest will only make it possible for other forms of protest to manifest themselves. This peaceful protest is an acceptable methodology by which problems can be brought to the attention of the public, they can be properly litigated, and they can be resolved. But not when you have a media, and there are many of them that would do this. And I'll tell you who they are so that there won't be any question about it.
Yeah, do it. Name names.
They don't favor me because I talk not only to them, but about them. They're the same people, the same networks who are over in the Russell office building, over in the Russell office building, named in honor of a bigot and a racist. Richard Russell was a co-author of the Southern Manifesto.
Yeah.
Richard Russell fought anti-lynching legislation. Richard Russell fought civil rights legislation. We should not honor a bigot and a racist by placing his name on a building paid for with taxpayer dollars. So who are they? They're the people who have themselves stationed above the statue of Richard Russell in the Russell Senate office building. They are CNN, they're MSNBC. Yes, they're two of the major components of this group of folk who don't respect us enough to move themselves from the Richard Russell office building, and don't leave Fox News out. These are the people who talk as though they are our friends, who give the impression that they want to see our problem solved, yet they are part of the problem over in the Russell Senate office building. CNN, MSNBC, no longer that, MS Now, and also Fox News. They are a part of the problem. And
fucking MS Now. This man said he was getting ready to come to his close, and he spoke for another 20 minutes, I swear. Love him, but that is not bringing it to a close. This was last night with Senator Mark Wayne Mullen. You can see Mark Wayne Mullen right here. This guy right here. You see Marco Rubio clapping. Mark Wayne Mullen. Allow me to move my camera for those of you who are watching on horizontal. This is Representative Al Green right here. Mark Wayne Mullen tries to snatch Al Green's sign. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma. Where was he even seated? Mark Wayne Mullen got into it with Senator Bernie Sanders earlier today at the Senate confirmation hearing for the Surgeon General position.
Senator Mullen.
Thank you, Chairman. My green light was on. I thought my mic was on. I want to address a couple things. During the ranking member's opening statement, he talked about misinformation coming from this administration, and I just want to point out that the Biden Surgeon General, Dr. Murthy, was actually, a court actually ruled against him in 2023, the Fifth Circuit Court, for trying to censor free speech on social media. That's misinformation. And so for us just to throw out an accusation like that with no evidence when the ranking member was completely silent when that took place, it's really some hypocrisy there. When we start talking about healthcare not being affordable, the ranking member and I actually agree on that. The problem is you supported the same tools that got us to where healthcare is unaffordable, because ACA, affordable healthcare, which is completely unaffordable, has risen 3 times faster than inflation itself. Yet we still support it. Not we, you, the Democrats.
No, I support a national health care program which will cut the cost of health care.
It's my time.
But you're attacking me.
No,
you're going to attack me. I'm going to respond.
I'm pointing out facts. You can say what you want. I'm just pointing out facts.
No,
the
you're
fact
putting out lies.
is that it is risen 3 times faster, and we know it. Yet we still want to sit here and defend it. The ranking member wants us to talk about all the deaths.
I said rised earlier, so I can't.
Happening because of President Trump and Secretary Kennedy, because how dare they look at a healthcare system that is broken and unaffordable and try to make changes, but yet the definition of insanity is what? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. So we should
not the definition of insanity.
And how dare we look into vaccines to just simply look to see if maybe vaccines may be a partial cause to autism when it's rising at a rate faster than any country in the nation? How dare us look at science? Oh my goodness, science is supposed to be perfect. I thought science was always supposed to be studied. I'm for looking into it. As a father of 6 kids, yeah, I want to look into it. I want to know what's causing it, and I will turn over every stone. And so Dr. Means, thank you for saying I want to turn over every stone. Good on you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not sitting here trying to say we shouldn't do something. I'm saying let's go after it. Let's look at it. Let's question what we're doing. Let's look at the healthcare system. We can agree on that one. I just don't want to socialize it. But we can agree that it is absolutely not affordable. 100% not affordable. Yet it was supposed to be affordable. That's what we sold by Obamacare. So how about we work together and say,
Obamacare curbed the rate of increase.
It doesn't work. Admit you guys made a mistake, and let's work at something with President Trump to make affordable health care healthy and affordable for everybody. But there's zero chance you guys could do that. Zero chance. Yet everybody we bring up here, you guys chastise for trying to make changes. God forbid we change and go after and try to fix our broken system. Anyways, I ranted too long. Let's talk about some.
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask your opinion on that. And if I cared about your opinion, I would ask you, but I don't care about your opinion.
Well,
you're part of the system. You're part of the problem. You've been sitting here longer than I've even been alive. This is your problem. You should have fixed this a long time ago. You've been railing on it so long.
Bernie has only been in the Senate. This is probably his 3rd or 4th term at this time. He was in Congress like in the 90s, I think is when he got elected. Or were you born in the 90s, Mark Wayne? Are you younger than me?
I've decided not to run for Surgeon General. You're the nominee. I've decided not to accept that nominee.
That is definitely something we would never accept. Ma'am, what's your passion about health care? What brought you into this?
What's your passion about health care?
Thank you, Senator Mullen. For all of us, I'm just going to take a deep breath. My vision for Surgeon General and for the future of America is to get more healthy, whole food on Americans' plates and to work to systematically encourage our healthcare system to focus on the root causes of why we are sick and not just reactive sick care. This is my passion. This is why I was put on this earth.
I don't want to give anything away, but she has really pretty hair. Her top really makes her blue eyes pop. She can absolutely... Not gonna do it.
Have an incredible healthcare system. It's amazing. It's produced miracles. If we have an acute issue, absolutely you want to be in America to get that fixed. But 90% of healthcare costs are now going to chronic diseases. And frankly, having practiced, I've seen thousands of patients, worked in this system for almost a decade in clinical medicine, it's not the focus of what we as doctors are incentivized to spend our time on. It's not what's reimbursed, and this is a problem. Medical education doesn't focus on these modifiable root causes of diseases. The science is showing us through amazing emerging work in systems biology and network biology that the physiologic causes of the vast majority of diseases that are taking American lives and torturing and shortening our lives, even in our children, are connected by shared physiology and shared root causes. We need to upgrade the paradigm of the American healthcare system to educate and treat in that way. It is by far the most efficient way to treat, of course, because if we're addressing shared root causes, we're going to be able to stop the whack-a-mole medicine that's not working for us and that is so costly. And so my passion is to help work with the AMA, work with medical schools, work with Democrats, Republicans, all sorts of agencies across the government to ensure that we really move the needle on shifting the American healthcare system towards root causes. I know we can do it. There's political will. It's what Americans want. Even the medical schools are on board, but we need a vision to get there.
Thank you.
I think the part of this hearing that really got under Senator Mark Wayne Mullins' skin was this part where Bernie was taking her to task.
And like the chairman, I've got a lot of questions in a short period of time. I enjoyed your opening remarks, and I think you're right. This is a country that is sick in many ways. We need to focus on disease prevention rather than spending a huge amount of money on tertiary care. And I've enjoyed and appreciated some of the remarks you have made in the past. So let me just see if we're on the same page here. When I was sitting where Senator Cassidy is now, I fought hard to have much more substantive labeling on junk food. In fact, it's my view that we should not have food manufacturers selling junk TV ads. My understanding is you have come out against junk food ads on television. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you just take 30 seconds to elaborate that? Would you use your position to ban junk food TV ads?
Thank you so much, Senator Sanders. And I agree with you completely. I think there is so much that we agree on these issues. Just to be clear, the Surgeon General's office does not have the purview to ban this.
But you have a voice.
Absolutely, and that's a voice I would absolutely lend to talking about the dangers of ultra-processed foods and getting these advertisements off TV. Right. This has long been a part of my message. I talk about it in my book.
Senator Marshall mentioned earlier ago the crisis we have in obesity, childhood obesity. And you have these manufacturers selling sugar-laden products that cause obesity. Yes. So you will speak out. And do I understand your view is you would fight to ban TV ads of junk food?
I think you will be frustrated by how much I will be talking about ultra-processed foods.
Good. I won't be frustrated. I would be delighted. All right, let me ask you another area that we may have some agreement. As you know, the United States and New Zealand.
I'm not sure that I know the clip you're talking about, DJ Dub, so if you want to hit me with it, you can.
To advertise on
we'll
TV.
Totally check it out.
We should ban those ads. How do you feel?
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree.
I mean, just to elaborate, as you know, but for anyone who might be listening, about 65 to 70% of the calories that our children are eating are ultra-processed Franken foods made in factories that are so disconnected from their origin, source, and nutritional value that, we're putting just a nutritionally devoid food in our children. And then we wonder why we have an obesity crisis in children and why chronic diseases are rising as early as
No, you're right.
Toddler years. So
that's right.
My vision in this role is to get more whole, healthy foods on American plates.
And we spend a fortune.
A fortune.
We make people sick, and then we spend a fortune trying to
she
keep
ain't
them
wrong.
alive. All right. Those are important areas of agreement, and I appreciate that. But I want to pick up on an issue that the chairman raised, and it's a terribly important one, and that deals with vaccines. And I think the answers you gave us were a little bit political and not to the point. The American Medical Association, I don't know if you're a member of it or not, is the largest professional association of physicians representing over 270,000 doctors. And they wrote in November that, quote, an abundance of evidence from decades of scientific studies shows no link between vaccines and autism, end quote. In contrast, Secretary Kennedy has said, quote, I do believe that autism does come from vaccines, end of quote. Dr. Means, who is right? Is the AMA right? Is the scientific community right? Or is Secretary Kennedy right?
As I said to Senator Cassidy, we have a situation where autism is rising.
It is.
This is a huge problem.
It is, but we don't want conspiracy theories to
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And also, as a biomedical researcher and physician, I am not going to sit here and say that we should not study something in the future. It's not a political answer.
We should study everything.
We should study the different factors that may be causing.
I agree. But you have scientific evidence. The overwhelming body of scientific evidence says vaccines do not cause autism.
I'm not, so just to be very clear, vaccine advocacy has never, or any anti-vaccine rhetoric has never been a part of my message. I don't mention the word vaccine in my book. This is not a part of my core message. I am not here to complicate the issue on vaccines.
Her core message?
And also, I, as a physician, am very careful with my words, and I don't think it's responsible to say that we're not going to study when kids are getting many medications.
All right.
I think
it's always a book
keep it on
plug.
the table.
Last question. I'm sorry, running out of time. We are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a human right. Dr. Means, is health care a human right? Should the United States join every other major country and say to everybody, whether you're young, old, rich, or poor, you are entitled to health care as a human right? Yes, no, maybe?
My focus is on ensuring that Americans have access to the best healthcare in the entire world, which, as you talked about, as I talked about, as everyone who's spoken has talked about, is pretty much the opposite of what we have right now. We spend 2x every other country in the world, and we have the worst health.
I agree, but is healthcare a human right? Will you join me?
Because we don't have a
fighting for a national
socialized universal system.
I will be by your side trying to get Americans access to the best healthcare in the world.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was meaningless. Remember when Republicans were talking about they were eating the dogs, they were eating the cats? They're eating the humans now. Secretary Noem told a story multiple times in 2025 about immigration officials removing a man from the country who was a cannibal. The Intercept shooting that down. We're going to go content warning. It's Morning Joe, but we like Willie.
Security Secretary Kristi Noem told a story multiple times last year about immigration officials removing a man from the country who was a cannibal. Let's take a look.
Jesse, by you calling these guys bad hombres, they really are. I was talking to a U.S. Marshal just yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that they were deporting a plane load of illegals, and one of them was a cannibal. And he kind of said it offhanded, and I said to him, what do you mean it was a cannibal? Said, well, we put him on the plane, put him in his seat, and he started to eat his own arms. He was such a deranged individual. This is the kind of people that President Trump is getting off of our streets. When he got back to his seat and put another individual in the seat near close to him, he said he literally was eating his own arms. That for him, he was
literally eating his own arms.
Called himself a cannibal, ate other people, and ate himself that day. Well, they had to take him off of the flight and get him medical attention, and then he went back into the system.
The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE They said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home. And while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself. And they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country.
These are the kind of
because they are
deranged
so
individuals
deranged
we
they
have
don't
running
belong
this
here.
country.
And I talked today about one of the horrific instances of our individuals, our law enforcement officers, having to put hands on individuals that were even cannibals and removing them from our country. These are deranged individuals
with the
that
Donner
other countries
Party.
released out of their prisons, out of their mental institutions, and sent them to America.
It will come as a great surprise that it appears that Secretary Noem made up that story. In fact, in that clip, it looked like even President Trump was shaking his head at it.
I'm not surprised at all.
The Intercept spoke to 3 federal law enforcement officials who said the story is fictional. All 3 sources said attempts to verify Noem's claims
Shocking.
empty. The Intercept reports that Noem has failed to reply to close to 24 requests for comments since July. Meanwhile, a longtime restaurant owner in Arizona is free this morning after ICE held her in detention for 8 months. A federal judge ruled that Chinese national Kelly Yu's continued detention was punitive because her deportation was not imminent. Authorities say Yu crossed the border illegally more than 20 years ago, but she has no criminal record, and China has not provided the travel documents required for her removal.
No, not easy. Like freedom in general. So who does not like to have freedom? That's why I'm coming here for.
Bootlicking MAGA dumb shit.
Family and
That's
also
who doesn't
greeted
like
by
freedom.
Arizona Congressman Greg Stanton, who posted this picture on social media. In response, the Department of Homeland Security sharply criticized the judge's ruling ordering Yu's release. Yu does remain at risk of deportation at any time if China issues her travel documents to U.S. authorities. And Gene Robinson, let's remember when President Trump first came to office, he insisted that it would be the worst of the worst who were removed. And instead, not only do we have cases like this, clearly not the worst of the worst, someone whose only crime was, to enter the U.S. illegally, but we also have so much of these deportation operations carried out by an agency, DHS, which has lied time and time again, from things as nonsensical as this cannibal story to the circumstances of the shootings, the murders of 2 American citizens.
Yeah, DHS, it's fair to conclude at this point that DHS simply lies all the time about everything. I mean, you look at the lies that were told about what was being done in Minneapolis and about the killings of U.S. citizens, and the lies about, various examples of supposedly the worst of the worst, and Ms. Yu in Arizona, I guess, being part of the worst of the worst, and of course the lies about cannibalism on the plane. They make stuff up, and Michael Tomasky, this is not normal, and this is not acceptable, right? For a government department to act this way and to speak this way. When will there possibly be any reckoning for this? I mean, even Kristi Noem is still there.
Right. Well, the possible reckoning comes after the elections, and if the Democrats take over the House, then they control the relevant committees, and then they can subpoena these people and see if they'll come before Congress and answer subpoenas. I'm not entirely confident that they will answer subpoenas, so then we'll have that whole fight. But, at the same time, Gene, I would say there is some reckoning going on, and that reckoning is happening in the minds of the American people who don't approve of what they're seeing here. And I would encourage everybody to read about or go watch the testimony yesterday from the ICE whistleblower, Ryan Shank, who said some incredible things. That he essentially said they are training people to violate the Constitution.
I got on WWE 2K last night, 2K25, and I had a character in the My Rise that was just the superstar. I didn't name him anything. So I named him Stoker Schwanker. After the two names I was enamored by yesterday during the stream, the guy, the ICE whistleblower that we saw testify, Schwanker, and then Stoker was one of the reporters that we saw. Stoker Schwanker is my character's name now.
And they cut training time more than half, from 580 something hours to 240 hours. And the kinds of things they cut out were, of course, how to go about your business legally and constitutionally.
Right.
So there
Without
is
killing people.
Right. So there is some reckoning going on, but we certainly need more, and that can only happen maybe when the Democrats take the House.
Maria Teresa, hi. I'm wondering if you could talk about the sort of, you have a lot of internal polling. And I'm wondering if you could talk about what the sort of feeling is with the DHS, with what we're seeing from DHS.
Don't care. Sorry, Molly Fast, whatever your name is. A dude was hired to work for Border Patrol. He ended up getting arrested by them. Anonymously, welcome in, friend.
Administration's push for mass deportations hits close to home.
You went there to do your job.
Yeah.
And what did you get?
Handcuff.
Arrested.
The home of Border Patrol. And that's where that man thought he was showing up for just another job, but it wasn't. He wound up in ICE custody as immigration lawyers flooded federal courts with demands their client be set free.
They're called habeas corpus petitions, and NBC6 investigative reporter Tony Pipitone found the legal playing field for them is changing and not in favor of immigrants.
In court, habeas corpus is just a fancy Latin phrase that roughly means produce the body. It's a demand being made much more often as the Trump administration tries to meet its mass deportation goals by now arresting people with no criminal history, including one man summoned to do a job for Border Patrol. Angel Camacho is a Venezuelan asylum seeker, a TPS recipient, married to a U.S. citizen.
Work permit, social.
TPS means temporary protected status. He was, I don't know his status at the time, but he had been going through the legal channels, married a U.S. citizen.
Security number,
pay your taxes,
driver lessons, pay my taxes every year.
And his skills are in need.
I have a master's degree in telecommunication. I've been working on telecommunication field all my life.
So we didn't expect what happened after he pulled up here in Dania Beach last month to do a site survey for a client.
So this was another job.
But this would not be just another IT job for Angel Camacho. He would walk into this Border Patrol station in Dania Beach, but he would not walk out, not as a free man.
I say, hey, good morning, I'm Angel, and they say, oh yes, we are waiting for you.
Indeed, they were, to arrest him.
They say, I have to detain you. And I say, what? Are you joking? Because I thought that it was joking.
No joke. You went there to do your job.
No joke.
Yeah.
And what did you get?
Handcuff.
And he says a month-long stay at the Everglades detention camp that the state called.
They put him in alligator Alcatraz. Oh my God.
Alligator Alcatraz.
That's the worst nightmare that I've been. That's not a place to nobody, especially if you never commit any crimes.
What's that like for your clients?
Not great.
Immigration attorneys Liliana Gomez and Deliana Quiles have other clients held there with no criminal history, and since last summer, they're suddenly being denied bond hearings.
The law has been the same for the past 30 years, and all of a sudden the government decided to change the law, and we have this influx of litigation.
Habeas corpus petitions that NBC6 investigates found flooding federal courts. This time last year, There were an average of 5 being filed each month in the southern and middle districts of Florida, but beginning in November, the number skyrocketed to nearly 400 filed last month alone.
Thankfully, a lot of my clients have been released after getting a habeas petition granted, but so far we have to go to federal court.
And that takes time and money, and now it's getting harder after an appeals court in New Orleans this month ruled that some immigrants arrested inside the U.S., not just those stopped at the border, may be detained without bond hearings while their cases proceed. It happened to this woman's husband this month. She asked us to protect her identity.
Esto que están haciendo pues no es justo. What they're doing is not fair. They're separating families.
And they have 2 American children.
The hardest part is that children are the ones who suffer. You try to stay strong, but seeing them depressed makes you fall apart too.
It's the worst call to me, to be honest with you, because this is a judge that had been granting these habeas petitions so far, so we had hopes that it would be granted and that her husband would hopefully be home soon.
Since Camacho did have a visa when he first entered the U.S. in 2016, he fought for and eventually got a bond hearing, $5,000, and was released with an ankle monitor after 30 days here. Are you a threat to America?
I'm a threat to America? No. Come on. No. I think that I've been doing the right thing since I came here.
Why you? Why did they pick you?
Because it was easy.
About a minute until 4:20 in the Central Time Zone.
I just went there to work, and it was too easy for them just catch me and say, oh, this is an immigrant.
Yeah, easy.
We reached out to the Border Patrol to ask why they arrested an IT professional who worked for a company that they hired to help them fix a problem. So far, we've not received a response. Tony Pipitone, NBC6 News.
Because they're lazy and incompetent and all they care about is numbers. Rounding up as many people as they can, and this is the results. 20 seconds until 4:20 in the Central Time Zone. TikTok people, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to turn you off. Light one up, dip one back. My Central Time Zone peeps. Ow. I missed 4:20 in the Eastern Time Zone. That one hurt me. It hurt my soul. I gotta catch my breath. Then I'll be ready to go. We'll do more news. More news. It's still smoking. You stop. I can't smoke anymore right now. I want you to burn up. And put a lid on it. You stay there. Back to you. Last story we did, Elemental, my lord, welcome in. Flo, I think I told you good afternoon. It's still smoking, god damn it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Corn over on YouTube, good to see you, my friend. DeJones, good afternoon. Snuff it out. Smokey looking all lazy over there on the bed. Oest, thank you for the follow. Glad to have you TikTok people along for the ride. We're new to TikTok. We've been doing the news for like 6 years now, but we're new to TikTok. Let's go. We did the story about the immigrant that was hired by DHS to do a job for him, proving that they're not going after the worst of the worst. Here's another one. DHS going into a construction site.
This is breaking news from Local 3 News.
Local 3 has obtained video and photos of what appears to be ICE activity and the detainment of people here in Chattanooga.
Local 3's Latrice Curry joins us to tell us what viewers saw this afternoon.
Cindy, we continue to follow this developing story. A woman who witnessed what she says were ICE agents rounding up people at a Chattanooga construction site is talking to Local 3. We first showed you at 5, about an hour ago, these photos that she sent showing what appears to be ICE agents in military clothing and tactical vests confronting people in a subdivision under construction near Heritage Park in East Brainerd. Now, she asked us to protect her identity because she fears retaliation.
I turned around and I saw like 2 officers that had ICE bulletproof vests on. They were escorting a gentleman out from behind a building. It looked to be like a Latino.
DJ Dub with an awesome question. Are they actually federal agents? Nobody really knows. We've had multiple stories of people posing as federal agents to terrorize immigrant communities and even try to kidnap citizens. It's insanity on our streets.
And so he was, scooting him into the vehicle. And I saw a bunch of other people kind of running.
All right, well, Local 3 reached out to the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office in Nashville to ask about what witnesses described. An ICE representative tells us they are looking into it. All right, so
an ICE representative looking into it. That makes me feel better.
They said ICE does not release comprehensive details on all enforcement activity information regarding specific actions. Arrest or operations is provided only when appropriate and in accordance with agency protocols and privacy considerations. That's the quote received from ICE. Now, as we learn more about just what happened here today, we're going to bring you that new information right here on Local 3, local3news.com, and of course all of our social media platforms. So stay with us for the very latest on this developing.
They didn't actually show the video of the ICE agents in the house under construction, did they? I have that. It's odd because it came from them. It came from that news station.
Do y'all have a warrant? Do y'all have a warrant to enter this residence?
We're working with them.
I know. Do they have a warrant?
Yeah, they had a warrant.
Can I see it?
We don't have it in our hands.
For this address? Can I see the warrant you have for this address, please?
Call the supervisor. I don't have the warrant.
What's the supervisor's number?
You have to call the ICE office.
That's not how that works.
Oh, I think that's pretty illegal if you don't have a warrant. What's the suspicion of crime?
They fled. They ran.
What's the suspicion? They're brown?
No, we had the army.
Is that right? They're brown? Is that the problem?
No. I ain't fooling you.
Well, I'm glad y'all aren't wearing masks. At least you have the to not hide your face.
Well, they're in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
They built your houses. These are hardworking people. Washington State.
I can't believe they're like, oh, we don't have it on us. You got to call our supervisor. That is not how it works. You need to be presenting those warrants front and center. We got this breaking news here. Multiple people killed in some sort of armed confrontation involving Cuba. This is happening in just the last couple of hours.
Reports of a deadly confrontation in Cuban territorial waters between Cuban troops and people on an American-registered speedboat. Here's what we know.
Is this Tom Llama? I don't even know Tom Llama well enough to know if this is Tom Llama.
At this hour, Cuba's Ministry of the Interior
Tom Llama.
says a speedboat, they say, with a Florida registration opened fire on Cuban border guard troops this morning. The ministry says it happened when the troops approached the American boat to request identification and that the commander of the Cuban vessel was injured. The ministry says the troops then returned fire, killing 4 people aboard that boat and injuring 6 others in the confrontation. The injured...
Wait, I've heard this one before. Back in my day, we called this the Bay of Pigs.
Cuban territorial waters between Cuban troops and people on an American-registered speedboat. Here's what we know at this hour. Cuba's Ministry of the Interior says a speedboat, they say, with a Florida registration opened fire on Cuban border guard troops this morning. The ministry says it happened when the troops approached the American boat to request identification and that the commander of the Cuban vessel was injured. The ministry says the troops then returned fire, killing 4 people aboard that boat and injuring 6 others in the confrontation. The injured have been taken back to Cuba to be treated medically. Again, this is all coming right now from the Cuban government. So as we get more information, we will bring it to you. I do want to bring in NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez. And Gabe, this is such a serious situation because of the rhetoric between the United States and the Cuban government. Just recently, I think less than 2 weeks ago, the Cuban president, the leader of Cuba, saying that Cuba was ready for war with the United States in the wake of what's happened in Venezuela and that they were on alert for anything that might happen there. Again, sometimes these incidents happen in those waters. We should mention the location where this happened was very close to the Bahamian border as well, where there's usually lots of both drug smuggling and people smuggling as well. Cubans trying to flee the communist oppression there. What do we know right now coming from either our Coast Guard or the White House right now, Gabe?
Well, Tom, there are a lot of unanswered questions right now. We are out to White House officials trying to get any more details on this. But so far, as you said, all we know is from the Cuban side at this point. They say 4 people are dead and 6 others on that boat, which was registered in Florida, have been injured. And also, Tom, another border guard troop from the Cuban side was also wounded, according to the Cuban government. Now, this all comes, as you said, amid ramped up tensions between the 2 countries in the wake of the capture of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. There have been significant fuel shortages in Cuba over the last few weeks, and there have been questions about what the U.S. plans to do next year. The president himself recently saying that he expects the Cuban government to fall. And, Tom, right now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in the Caribbean, in the island of St. Kitts and Nevis, meeting with Caribbean leaders. Again, we're out to the State Department as well for any comment. But, Tom, a lot of unanswered questions here about who exactly was on that boat and what led to this confrontation.
And Gabe, right now, the only information we're getting from the U.S. government is coming from elected representatives in Congress from South Florida who are putting this news out there. But again, we're not hearing from the State Department or anyone else just yet.
Not yet. Again, we're still awaiting any confirmation about who exactly was on that boat. But it comes as, you know, there has been this huge military buildup on the other side of the Caribbean. And also the Trump administration has been really escalating its rhetoric towards the Cuban government. Secretary of State Rubio, of course, is Cuban American and has made a large part of his political career being very, wanting to topple essentially the Cuban government, the communist government there. But again, at this point, we do not have any details about who was on that boat.
We thank you. As we look at this map here, I'm going to bring in Jose Diaz-Balart. Guys, let's put that map back up.
Thank you, Gabe.
The viewers exactly where this is happening right now. Jose, talk our viewers through the location.
Should I get
here, right? Because
the
again, where you see
shut
that
up
little
already?
white dot at the top of northwest Cuba.
Is he going to
This
be
is
at
where
the end of his own
according to the
clip?
Cubans happened 1 nautical mile off those keys off the north of Cuba. So this is very close to the Bahamian border. Again, Sal Bank, which is an area people go to fish, but also people where they go to drop off sometimes Cubans that they're smuggling, Cuban refugees that are trying to leave the island. Jose, we can't stress enough, this is such a sort of strenuous time right now between the U.S. and Cuba has made it very clear
at the pool. I'm sorry, I fucked it
U.S.
up.
attack or any type of incursion that would happen in their country.
I'm a bad
Indeed, Tom,
comedian.
and you know it's
Cancel
striking to remember sometimes that Cuba is 90 miles away from Key West, and so the proximity of the island to not only Florida but to the Bahamas, which is really a skip and a jump away, there are a lot of questions, and so far the only source about this incident comes from the Cuban regime.
I would assume
important to recognize and also remember that that regime has oftentimes utilized humans for political purposes, sometimes releasing political prisoners when an American celebrity comes to the island or some person who requests that some political prisoners are released. We have to also remember that it was the 24th of February, 1996, 30 years ago yesterday,
nautical miles
that two
would have to take
small
in
Cessnas from
consideration
Brothers
the
to the
curvature
Rescue,
of
a
the
South
Earth or
Florida
something,
organization
maybe?
that was seeking rafters leaving the island, was shot down over international waters by the Cuban regime. Four people were killed, 3 citizens, 1 American resident.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated
Shut
on
up,
breaking
Tom
news and
Llama.
top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.
We miss Lester. Bring Lester back. I don't know where to go after that. I guess we're done with political shit. I got one more. Let's do one more State of the Union thing here because we got some Republican. He was so moved by. Ooh, here we go. A nautical mile is longer than a standard statute mile, measuring 1.1508 land miles compared to 5,280 feet. Specifically designed for air and sea navigation based on the Earth's latitude and longitude. And the arc is used for navigation while miles are used on land. Thank you. This Republican he was so moved by Trump's State of the Union speech, it brought him to tears.
This is my first State of the Union.
I think that's just sweat. He just looks like a sweaty ham. Trump was right about everything, his hat says.
I was a special election in April of last year, and the president hit on so many.
I bet your mom told you you were a special boy too.
Like I'm up here for the right reasons, and I look. I think partisanship is going to exist up here, but I appreciated him calling out and calling some balls and strikes, and where the Democrats did not want to stand up.
Some balls for you.
Some of the heroes in the
He's
the gallery
kicking authority to the balls.
Whether it be no tax on tips, or no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, those things, I think the voters need to realize that there were partisan votes and they didn't need to be, because it was about giving money back to our citizens.
Do you see any common ground with the Democrats?
We saw some common ground.
Still tax on tips.
To things like home ownership. There are some issues I think that unite everybody. And so some of the initiatives, we've got an initiative
He's into
that we're
homo
doing
shit.
that takes 529 plans that allows that money to be used towards down payment assistance. So we're trying to move in that direction. And I do think there are a number of things that unite us. And there was several of them tonight. And the one that I hit home with me, because it's home ownership. I believe home ownership is the single greatest force for good.
And he addressed that, you feel?
It's a start. It's a start, you know, so where we can find those common issues, we should rally around them. You know, I mean, there's certain things that I'm sorry the Democrats are just not going to want to be on board that I think maybe are good policies, but the home ownership, I think it crosses all spectrums. I tell people when they get to own a home, you know, things like they show up to work, it's the single biggest investment they make. They start caring about the community. They start caring about their neighborhood. They care about the schools their kids go to. So there's so many things that are empowering when somebody owns a home.
So there's talk that he had to hit a home run for the midterms coming up here.
I mean, he ain't wrong with that.
That he needed to hit a home run tonight to help with the midterms. How do you do?
I call it a home run. What I saw there, there was a lot of time is the most fleeting thing we have. We can't get a single second of it back. And as he acknowledged some of the most incredible sacrifices from folks and acknowledging 2 Medal of Honor winners, giving the testimony of what happened in Venezuela with the pilot of the Chinook. We had heard that, but we didn't ever hear it publicly. For the president to give that testimony, I started crying because that guy's lucky to be alive. And I mean, he almost lost his leg, and then considering what he did to make sure that mission was a success, and then the president to honor him the way they did, to me, that's what America's about. It's pride, it's ownership in this fabric that we call America, and then to then recognize a 100-year-old pilot that flew in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, and never could tell the story because of secrets or what have you that may have gone along with it. And I saw him in the gallery, and this 100-year-old man stood up every single time there was a standing ovation. And I noticed him struggling because he was sitting right next to the First Lady. And then to know that that's who we were honoring, and to know that guy was 100 years old, cool stuff.
That's not cool at all, actually. We're applauding this 100-year-old man having to stand up over and over again. Clinically, welcome in. You just missed all the political shit. If you're ready for some crime shit, you came at just the right time. That was Representative Jimmy Petronas, who cried like a baby over Trump's State of the Union address. Let's go to some cops here. A Phoenix man has filed a lawsuit saying the cops put him in a dangerous game of Simon Says. Sounds about right.
Literally make in the game of Simon Says. And because of that simple mistake, he was taken to the ground. What am I doing? And is now being accused of resisting arrest and assaulting 3 police officers.
You hit him in the head! I'm ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biskobing. We all know Simon Says, the kids' game. Follow the orders exactly or you lose. Well, on this very busy street in West Phoenix, one man found himself playing a very dangerous version of that game. In his case, Simon was the police, and a jury found he was playing a game that he couldn't win. This is a traffic stop
November
recorded on a Phoenix
2024.
police officer's body camera.
You guys are flying down Indian School.
And this officer is about to give a lot of commands very quickly.
How fast was that going? You got driver's license?
A new order comes 2 seconds later.
Gotcha. Hold up on that. We're at. Be side by the vehicle, okay?
Now, another command.
Go ahead, put your hands on top of your head. No, for sure. Hands on top of your head. Hands on top of your head. Lock me up, bro.
The driver gives up, throws both hands straight into the air.
I ain't did nothing. What y'all doing? Hey, what y'all doing all that? He ain't off of me.
Well,
Officers then throw him to the ground.
Go ahead there, bro. It ain't that serious.
When the game finally ends, the driver is arrested and charged with a bunch of felonies.
What did I do? Put him in the car, dude.
We'll break down more of the stop and the body camera video in a moment. But first, meet the driver, Israel Devo.
So, Israel, how old are you? 33.
Israel
Okay.
Devo.
Now, this happened a year and a day ago.
Sure enough.
And our interview coming right after his trial.
I was just astonished with all the stuff that they said about me. It's a bunch of lies.
At the time, we didn't know about his case or the trial, but we got a recording from the court archives. And by now, you can probably guess the theme of the public defender's main defense.
Simon Says. The kids' game. Simon Says is a game that you lose by making simple mistakes. Instead of putting his hands on top of his head, he put his hands above his head.
And when things are just blurted out to you, it's kind of hard to process that when you're in that moment.
Let's start from the beginning. Devo and a coworker were stopped in a work car. They worked for Allied Security, and Devo was a supervisor.
You got any guns in the car?
Oh, no.
No? Okay. You guys are flying down Indian School.
They're in a security vehicle.
We trying to run to, because I got to go to a site real quick, but you know, I'm a ally. I work with security. I know, but it doesn't excuse you. Like, you're going to kill someone, man. Oh, no, I ain't going that fast. Oh, you're going that fast, brother.
I just feel like he was just pushing something that wasn't there.
They go back and forth for about a minute.
How fast was that going? You got a driver's license?
And again, this is where the so-called game of Simon Says begins.
Hold up on that. We're at. Be side by the vehicle, okay? Okay. Go ahead, put your hands on top of your head. No, for sure. Hands on top of your head. Hands on top of your head. Go lock me up, bro.
And he's clearly in a marked vehicle with safety lights.
Now put yourself
in a uniform.
in the driver's seat. You're told, get your driver's license. No, wait, get out of the car. Get out of the car with your hands on top of your head. But your seatbelt's fastened, so you reach, you're yelled at again. So then you get out, but you get out apparently too fast. And when the officers immediately grab you and you panic and throw your hands up in the air, that's wrong too. You lose. And they're going to throw you down to the ground.
Why y'all doing all that?
At this point, 3 officers are involved. They pull Devo's legs out from under him. One lands on top of him, and other officers grab his wrists.
What am I doing? Stop. I'm not doing nothing.
Stop tensing up. Dude, I'm gonna hit you.
Because I'm black.
I'm gonna hit you if you don't stop.
Because I'm black. Go ahead. Because I'm black.
Roll over.
Appalling.
The arrest lasts about 2 minutes. It's hard to make out what happens because for all 3 of the officers involved, their body cameras fall off. But they do capture some views of the officers punching and striking Israel.
Wow.
Slamming his head to the ground.
Hey. Come on, bro. You hit him in the head.
At the end of the arrest, a 4th officer leaves the co-worker passenger and comes over.
Hey, stop.
This video shows him stop an officer from continuing to punch Devo.
Were you worried about your life?
100%.
How do you feel about the fact if maybe you were alone and you didn't have your coworker with you?
Oh, I don't think I'd be here today.
Really?
100%.
After the arrest, Devo was charged with 4 crimes, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and 1 resisting arrest. And you're now looking at the 3 main officers involved.
Wow.
Thomas Patterson, Ricky Toole, Nathan Epps. In court and in police reports, those officers claimed Devo disobeyed commands. As he got out of the car, advanced in a fast manner, perceived to be a potential attack. The officers also wrote and testified that Devo kicked them, put them into leg locks, swam out of grips, and shrimped out of mounts. All things they wrote were consistent with jiu-jitsu.
The jiu-jitsu stuff stands out.
100%.
Do you know jiu-jitsu?
Not at all.
You're not some martial arts expert?
No.
Okay.
The officers also writing Devo was wearing a jiu-jitsu gi worn by people well-versed in martial arts, earned as a rite of passage or advanced training.
Bought the jacket from Goodwill for $3 because it matched my cowboy boots. That was it.
Before we get to what the jury thought about all that, here's Devo's civil rights attorney. They're planning to file a lawsuit.
If you read the report and then watch the video, it's like two different worlds. It has no relationship to reality. You know, it's like saying white is black, black is white. It's so obviously not true.
Jesse Showalter
Up is down and cats are dogs.
No matter what officers told him to do.
All of it was unnecessary because Israel was surrendering. I mean, putting your hands in the air is the universal symbol of surrender.
Showalter says this case also highlights a pattern, one he's seen in multiple cases, like this one.
Tonight, this is video of Phoenix police arresting a black man who's deaf and has cerebral palsy.
A different man rushed by Phoenix officers.
We watched that video on stream.
Move. Tasered. Then charged with multiple felonies. In our next report, we'll show you the similarities between the two cases.
Hand behind your back!
Officers will use extreme violence, extreme force, and then charge the victim of that violence with a made-up crime. The jury saw that this was all made up.
During the trial, all four officers testified and said pretty much what they wrote in their reports. And in a risky move, Devo also took the stand.
Why did you take that risk, make that choice? To stand for what was right. If they could get away with it with me, who's to say they won't get away with it again?
So who did the jury believe? Well, the trial lasted 2 days, but the jury came back with their verdict in about 40 minutes. And for all four charges, not guilty.
Do you know if the officers
saw the video.
disciplined or investigated for what they did? I would say no.
Records show top supervisors signed off on the use of force. A commander writing, this response to resistance appears to be within policy.
Do you think this is a department that can police itself?
No. Probably not.
Ooh.
Because Devo plans to sue, Phoenix PD would not agree to an interview or answer specific questions. A spokesperson telling us that we would, quote, likely find answers to our questions in the police reports. We're publishing those reports online so you can read them. We're also publishing all four angles of the body camera video. It's all on our website. I'm investigator Dave Biscobing, ABC 15, Arizona.
You wonder why people hate cops. We're going to Colorado now, where we have a Colorado cop who was actively road raging, now facing charges.
Right now at 10, both of your investigators are working for you, covering Colorado first and digging into issues impacting you and your family, like who is being hired as a police officer and what their qualifications are.
This national outcry comes after 2 people were killed by law enforcement in Minneapolis last month, which is sparking another conversation surrounding second chance cops. Your investigator Brian Moss will show us why departments are hiring these officers.
Second chance cops.
One department under a cloud, then resurface at another.
The videos are slick, fast-paced,
rock and roll,
and designed to sell the job. With fewer people applying to be police officers, departments are competing for a shrinking pool of candidates. And in small towns in Colorado, that competition comes with pressure.
We're not going to get the guy that wants to work for the big agency. You've got guys that want to see all the action down in Denver. We've got people that sometimes just chase the money, right? We don't pay $120,000 a year. And so we have to go through with the applicants that we get, and we have to find the best fit for us as an agency. And the majority of the time that works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
Scott Sedgwick is police chief in Hudson, 30 miles northeast of Denver. He runs a department of 12 officers.
Every single day I come to work, and I try to make the best decisions for this town that I possibly can.
But best sometimes means officers who left their last department with questions, like Hayden Anderson. State records show he resigned from the Longmont Police Department while under internal investigation. Sedgwick says that case involved allegations of excessive force, but he disagreed with the findings and hired Anderson anyway. Or Vanessa Trujillo.
Again, my name is Vanessa Trujillo. Previous experience is banking.
State records show she resigned from the Parker Police Department in 2024 while facing termination. The department said she exhibited documented dishonesty, a pattern of intentional misrepresentations, and she was repeatedly caught driving around Parker between 80 and 93 miles an hour while on routine patrol, egregiously exceeding the speed limit, said Parker PD. And she provided unbelievable excuses about repeatedly sleeping on duty. Prosecutors later issued a letter saying she had exhibited untruthfulness. Sedgwick hired her anyway.
We found some things in the investigation that we didn't necessarily agree with.
Sedgwick also hired Ross. Ross left the Alt Police Department in 2023 while he was under investigation for failing to arrest a suspect. Ross moved to the Keensburg Police Department before Hudson offered him more money.
I believe in second chances, and I think there are some really good officers who maybe have made a mistake in the past or had some issues with their current command staff who go to another agency and they thrive and they flourish and they do a great job.
But last August, while off duty, the Colorado State Patrol says Ross was, quote, actively road raging on I-25. Troopers say his actions caused an uninvolved vehicle to swerve and roll over. The State Patrol says Ross fled the scene. The off-duty cop later told investigators he didn't see a crash, but his wife told investigators she did see the crash and mentioned it to her husband, who said it wasn't their fault. Ross is facing charges of reckless driving and failing to report an accident, both misdemeanors. How serious is that, not just for a citizen, but for a police officer?
I think it's very serious.
Sedgwick says Ross never disclosed the incident. The department learned about it from a tip. Ross resigned while under investigation. Would you rehire him?
No.
How come?
I believe he was untruthful.
Facing a possible firing by the Hudson Police Department for untruthfulness, Jack Ross left and looked for another job in law enforcement. He didn't have to look long, and he didn't have to go far. Just about 8 miles down this road.
Wow.
Back to Keensburg, where he had worked before. Despite 2 resignations during internal affairs investigations into his conduct, and despite a pending hit-and-run case, Keensburg rehired Jack Ross.
We had an employment history with him. I know what kind of police officer he is. I know how well he integrates into the community here, and
so
I made that decision
into the criminal conduct
to bring him back.
Was he the best candidate you could find?
He was a viable candidate, and in my opinion, a good fit for our town.
But if someone else applied today with a similar criminal case?
Would you consider a cop that came today with that on his record?
With a hit and run pending?
A pending hit and run?
Yeah, probably not.
Jensen says he believes in Ross and believes in redemption. The same philosophy applies to another cop on the force, Scott Persichetti. He was one of 3 officers fired by Denver police in 2024 after joking on a text thread about shooting migrants for target practice.
And he made a dumb comment that...
surprised he didn't quit and go to work with ICE.
And it is bad.
In quiet corners of Colorado, police departments are staffed with officers getting second and sometimes third chances, a practice that tests public trust.
My objective is to give them the best police department that they can afford. And so
I might give her a second chance,
Public trust.
My objective is to give them the best police department that they can afford. And so I hire the best cops that I can find.
Do you think that undermines public confidence?
I think that's an indictment of the best cops you can find,
yes.
then.
Sometimes it's easier to have the vacancy than it is to fill the position.
I'm Brian Moss, covering Colorado First.
Wow. Gonna hit the content warning for this one. This is a brutal story here. a man, and he doesn't even look like a man. I guess legally he's a man, but he looks like a little boy. He drove cross country to have sex with and commit suicide with a girl in California. And he looks a lot like the kid that tried to shoot Trump in the ear, or did shoot Trump in the top of the ear.
A 13-year-old Southern California girl is safe tonight after authorities say she was groomed online and lured away from home by an 18-year-old man from Pennsylvania. She met that man on a Discord chat group. Matthew Edward Fleischer is accused of flying cross-country and holding the teen in a Castaic motel room where...
Who, me or the 18-year-old clinically? You gotta specify who you're talking about being a simp. I did make that comment right before that. Oh, okay, the weirdo.
Prosecutors say she was physically assaulted.
KTLA's Jennifer McGraw is live in downtown LA with more on this case and the growing online danger authorities say is putting teens at risk. Hi, Jennifer.
Yes, Sam and John, good evening. Just a word of warning to our viewers. The details in this story are very disturbing. We're told that the mother alerted authorities that this was happening, and they say it was an emergency and an urgent situation to rescue her. It was a relationship built over a gaming app that quickly became sadistic, leading a local 13-year-old girl to often cutting herself, then ultimately leaving behind a suicide note and ending up in a motel room with an 18-year-old predator hanging on to life.
The victim told law enforcement that he had engaged in sexual conduct with her and that he used a knife to repeatedly cut her and that he also choked her to the point where she couldn't speak.
The messaging started back in December. That's when the girl met 20-year-old Matthew Fleischer online. Her mother never knew about the secret relationship until her daughter wound up in the hospital.
Does he not look like the kid that
she searched the girl's phone,
shot Trump?
And to her horror, she found messages like these.
I like how the blood looks on skin. I think blades are hot, and I like the idea someone is doing something like that for me.
And another?
You can go as...
Well, I mean, that's just 2000s emo lyrics, to be completely honest.
As deep or shallow as you want. Victim responds, I just want to be the best for you.
This is a group called NVE. According to law enforcement, it's called nihilistic violent extremism. It's an increasingly growing ideology to motivate vulnerable children to harm themselves and a subculture that glorifies violence and mass killings.
NVE, one of the most twisted and disturbing ideas to crawl out of the internet.
Two notable cases, the 2014 Isla Vista mass murderer. Police say a man who loathed women, fueled by frustration over his virginity. And the more recent one, the man who was trying to blow up a Palm Springs fertility clinic.
These are very despondent young males, particularly. They have a very negative view on the world, and they want to bring society down.
Officials say this disturbing case must be a warning.
Well, not your big platforms that we all...
This kid was fucked in the head? No.
Officials say this disturbing case must be a warning.
Well, not your big platforms that we all know, but the lesser known ones. So Discord is one
legalized
of the
prostitution, make it mandatory.
That's how they're communicating with one another.
If this doesn't send a strong message to all the parents that you need to make sure you understand what your children are doing, nothing would. The only thing more tragic would be is if we were reporting her death.
Fleischer faces 30 years in prison. Also, the FBI says there could be more victims, so anybody out there with any information should call them. They say they are investigating hundreds of cases. Live in downtown Los Angeles, back to you in Hollywood.
Yeah, like, okay, this is just me. I would never want to legislate this because it's a matter of morality. And you shouldn't legislate morality. Take note, religious fundamentalists and evangelicals. But to me, abortion should be mandatory if you get pregnant before the age of 21. That kid should not have to suffer because of the bad decision you made when you were a kid. And I know there's plenty of people, and you're going to look at it, you're going to be like, oh, my mom was was under 21 when she had me. I was under 21 when I had a kid. This is if I had it my way in a perfect world. And then when you turn 18, you get the money to go and see prostitution should be legal. You get the money to go see a hooker. And you like get given a pack of cigarettes. You don't have to smoke them. To have the cigarette in case after you have the sex with the hooker. It's there for you if you feel like you want it. You get a whole roll of lottery tickets. You get a pack of you get a whole like gift basket on your 18th birthday. Pack of cigarettes, voucher for a hooker, a whole roll of lottery tickets. A basket of sin. That's the fun thing. I went and I don't even think I smoked yet when I turned 18. I think that came later. But I went and bought my dad smoked. I went and bought a pack of cigarettes for him and gave them to him. I could buy cigarettes on my birthday. Just a thing to do. This dude called 911, ended up getting arrested for human trafficking.
You guys, listen to this. Kind of a crazy story here. A man in Gwinnett County apparently called police trying to report some sort of robbery. Well, it ended up being an arrest for human trafficking. And I think our Annie Map can pick up where things went wrong, or was this the plan all along? Annie, what's going on out there in Gwinnett County?
A very crazy story, Judea, here in Duluth. Gwinnett County police tell us that 28-year-old Changzi Lee called them back in January because he was concerned that someone was trying to break into his apartment. So police showed up and things just went completely left, I think, from what officers were expecting. We do have video that Gwinnett County police posted on their Facebook page. But in that video, you see police show up to this apartment. Officials say when they got inside, they heard like a loud noise that sounded like glass breaking. They saw a suspect come out from the back who is 40-year-old Dominique Gray. He came out and his hand was bleeding. Police say Gray was tased because he wasn't complying with their commands, of course, as they were responding. According to officials, as they questioned Gray outside, other officers were looking inside the home to see, you know, what else they could possibly find as part of this, what they thought was a burglary investigation. And they ended up finding a woman hiding in a closet in a back room. Officials say Changzi told them that this was a woman that he had invited over from an escort website. Officials say they later ended up discovering that Changzi again had brought this woman over from an escort website, but that Dominique Gray was also there for.
If you legalize prostitution, then there would be a system in place to check on this woman to make sure she's safe. You legalize it, he would have to come into a brothel and not be able to pull this kind of shit and kidnap a woman and keep her in the closet. Legalize prostitution.
Escort.
She's a hoe is not a good defense.
From this escort website as well. So at that point, all three of those people were taken to jail. The woman for prostitution, Changzi for pimping, and also
goddamn.
Keeping a place of prostitution was the term that we were given, and Dominique Gray as well faced some charges.
So the dude called to report a theft, 2 days later, 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 2 days But the theft was he's calling the prostitute the theft. The John kept the prostitute, and the pimp called the cops to report the theft of his prostitute. Did I get that correct? Because, like, the way the news does that sometimes, like, they say the facts in a way that don't really get across what exactly happened. They've got a newspeak way of saying shit, but that's what they just said, right? A John kept the prostitute. A pimp called the cops on the John, saying he had been robbed of his worker.
Police trying to report some sort of robbery. Well, it ended up being an arrest for human trafficking. And I think our Annie map can pick up where things went wrong, or was this the plan all along? Annie, what's going on out there in Gwinnett County?
A very crazy story, Judea, here in Duluth. Gwinnett County police tell us that 28-year-old Changsi Lee called them back in January because he was concerned that someone was trying to break into his apartment. So police showed up and things just went completely left, I think, from what officers were expecting. We do have
the Chauncey Lee, that's the Chinese dude. He was the John, right? So he called police saying that the pimp was trying to break into the apartment.
Video that Gwinnett County police posted on their Facebook page, but in that video you see police show up to this apartment. Officials say when they got inside they heard like a loud noise that sounded like glass breaking. They saw a suspect come out from the back who is 40-year-old Dominique Gray. He came out in his hand.
This is Dominique Gray. This is Chauncey Lee.
And was bleeding. Police say Gray was tased because he wasn't complying with their commands, of course, as they were responding. According to officials, as they questioned Gray outside, other officers were looking inside the home to see, you know, what else they could possibly find as part of this, what they thought was a burglary investigation. And they ended up finding a woman hiding in a closet in a back room. Officials say Chang's Lee told them that this was a woman that he had invited over from an escort website.
Okay, so the pimp went over to retrieve his hoe that the Chinese dude had in a closet. And I guess when he called the dude to say that he was coming over to get his worker, the Chinese dude called the cops and was like, somebody's going to break into my house to retrieve the woman that I'm holding captive in my closet.
Officials say they later ended up discovering that Changsley again had brought this woman over from an escort website, but that Dominique Gray was also there for escort for services from this escort website as well. So at that point, all three of those people were taken to jail. The woman for prostitution, Changsley for pimping, and also for keeping a place of prostitution was the term that we were given, and Dominique Gray as well faced some charges. So Lee ended up getting out.
So they're saying the Chinese dude is the pimp, but that doesn't make any sense.
On bond just a few weeks ago after that happened, but the police department's vice team kept an eye on him, and shortly after they discovered that he was back on these different websites. Take a listen to what a corporal we spoke to said a few minutes ago.
They start looking and they noticed what they believed to be Lee's phone number pop up on other listings on websites for solicitation. So they conduct an undercover operation on February 9th, and that's where they arrest Lee again for trying to solicit certain services. And they end up arresting him, making additional charges of keeping a place of prostitution, and this time they were able to charge him with human trafficking.
Yeah, so officials say they were able to add that human trafficking charge the second go round because they've now identified that he was on different sites more than once, and that second arrest was
doesn't make any
at
sense.
a totally different location here in Duluth, which they believe Lee was also using to keep this place of prostitution and of these illegal services. He is now in jail at the Gwinnett County Jail without a bond. We did ask officials if he had any prior criminal history. That is something that they are still looking into, Judea.
Wow, Annie, when I heard that you were going to be on this story and I was just trying to hear the details about it, I was like, what are the odds that you start with one thing and then you end up with a whole nother case on your hands? I'm sure the police were kind of stunned when they found all of this before them. But again, I know you also have to get back to reporting a little bit more, figuring out more information, so I'll let you go. But I want to let the people know we do have the photos of the mugshots on the screen for you guys. Annie, thank you.
An Amish woman is saying that she was having religious delusions that caused her to kill her. Oh, this is the entire hearing. I don't want to watch the entire hearing. We don't have a story on it. It's about 5 minutes until 4:20 in the Mountain Time Zone. Here we go. Amish mother accused of killing her own son, blaming religious delusions. I assume that means insanity.
Miller trying to please God by drowning her youngest son.
She was in court today.
Yeah, that'll please God.
She was not guilty by reason of insanity.
Harry Boomer covered this bizarre story last August, and tonight he's
Harry Boomer,
Morris County with the very latest. Harry.
Well, Tiffany and Chris, you may not remember the name Ruth Miller, but you will remember what she said.
I will fucking remember the name Harry Boomer, though. You better believe it.
She did drown her young son while also trying to kill her other children. She confessed to what she thought was a command from God to prove her faith. This is Ruth Miller, a mother of 4 children. She's accused of drowning her 4-year-old Vincent in Atwood Lake last August.
I cleaned in the lake and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy.
She pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Prosecutors say she also gathered her 3 other children, a 15-year-old daughter and a set of twins, into a golf cart and drove them into the lake. They swam to safety. Today, she was back in
I totally
court
remember
for a
this.
ruling on her mental competency. We found Miller was given 3 tests.
Given the findings, as
I think I covered it when it happened.
all 3 opined for various reasons that Ms. Miller did not appreciate the wrongfulness.
I have my tray right here. He always wants to put his tail on my tray. It's like he knows.
For conduct and was suffering from this severe mental illness.
19 News spoke with her defense attorney, Ian Friedman, outside the Tuscarawas County Courthouse following today's hearing. Is there a stipulation in any place that says that she...
Is that what an Amish lawyer looks like?
She was doing.
So when someone is found not guilty by reason of insanity, it's not a guilty, it's not a crime as we typically think of in a criminal proceeding. It becomes more of a mental health issue, and then it turns into, okay, what needs to be done to deal with that mental health state. You know, it becomes a question of
Lenny, my friend, welcome in.
Ruth Miller is scheduled back in court on Tuesday, March 3rd at 10 a.m. for a bench trial in front of Tuscarawas County Court of Common Pleas Judge Michael Ernest. In New Philadelphia, I'm Harry Boomer, 19 News.
And he even said it wild. He emphasized it. Harry Boomer. A bench trial is where they make you have to lift 3 sets of 10 reps. If you'd like to join me for 4:20 in the Central Time Zone, you've got about a minute to get your marijuana accoutrements ready. We're gonna have to turn you TikTok people off because TikTok doesn't like the smoking of the herb. You see the chat, but not my camera while I partake with the people on the cool platforms like Twitch and YouTube, where if you're in a legal state, it's not a problem that you smoke recreational marijuana. 20 seconds. If you would like to partake with me legally, always legally, of course. I would never encourage illegal behavior. Not this guy. The crime makes it taste better. Light one up, tip one back for my... What time zone is it? Mountain time zone, I think. I'm sorry, TikTok people. It's a really cool graphic you miss out on. I got some really cool graphics. All right, back to the horrors. The horrors persist. Let's do Nancy Guthrie. Investigators apparently returned to her home today. You guys in chat may have been right. She may not be with us anymore.
A chilling 911 call was made to police the night Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped. A police dispatcher sent out an alert about a woman hanging out of the window of a car, and she was screaming.
The caller is advising they saw a female out of a vehicle window screaming. The vehicle was a dark gray or blue Chevy Malibu, no plate. Advised that the female was hanging out of the window wearing all black and the door was also open.
Was the woman in the car 84-year-old Nancy? The location given by the undetermined 911 caller is just 3 miles from her house. The disturbing call was revealed last night by Nancy Grace.
Is it connected? We don't know, but it's close to her home around the time she was taken. We can't really discount anything.
Meanwhile, volunteers are searching the complex of large flash flood drainage tunnels beneath Tucson in the hopes of finding some evidence that Nancy was held
3
there
weeks.
for a time.
They searched pretty much this entire one.
I spoke with News Nation's Brian Enton, who combed through one of the largest tunnels sometimes used by homeless people.
There are these tunnels that go beneath Tucson and are in the area where Nancy lives in the foothills. They go under roadways, they go under neighborhoods. They're drainage tunnels when there's a lot of rain in the area, but right now they're totally empty. I went into the tunnels and there's a lot of homeless people that stay down there, but volunteers have been looking in the tunnels just in case there could be any evidence down there or any sign of Nancy.
Someone out there knows something.
And Savannah Guthrie's gut-wrenching appeal and her offer of $1 million reward has already brought 750 credible tips as the search for Nancy Guthrie goes on.
He gets very needy, and when he wants my attention, like I just gotta give it to him. He's gotta get over here and get some lovins. Cause he's not gonna give up, no matter how many times I sit him on the floor. He's just gonna, I'll sit him down over here and he'll make the circle. He'll come around this way, and he'll get right back in my lap. And it seems to always be when I'm trying to do something, especially when I'm trying to juggle multiple things at once. It is like this cat wants to, he keeps inserting the top of his head into the palm of my hand right now. I mean, who am I to tell him no, right? He's very cute. He's a handsome boy. I call him a boy, but he's getting up there. What are you, buddy? You're like 11, 12? You're getting up there for a cat. You're getting to be an old man. And when I got up in the bed with him last night during the State of the Union, he just went with it. And he was in like such a comfortable position. He's purring incredibly loudly right now. And he's like soft. He's very silky soft. When I was tripping, I just kept like rubbing my hands through his fur because he was laying in my lap as we were playing Tetris. Everybody still into cat content? Did I get back to the news? Say hi to him. So he's very vocal, but he won't talk on the microphone. I've never been able to get him to say anything on a microphone. I've held the microphone up to his face, Tried to get him to meow. Like, he'll have whole conversations with me, but not with a microphone present. Can't catch him. I've had him since he's about 4 or 5. Or was that? No, that was Socks. Smokey was 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4. I don't even remember now. I've had him so long. We're growing old together, aren't we, buddy? He's very much been the star of the stream. The Smokey graphic, that might be the very first graphic I ever made. Because at the time I had a really long desk, so I could see him coming a mile away and hit the graphic right before he came on camera. Oh, there he goes. He got enough lovin's. He can go do something else now. Might have been the first or one of the first graphics I ever made was the Smokey. Okay, let's go to Arizona. A crew in Arizona, a moving crew in Arizona, helped save a 3-year-old girl who was being kidnapped by boxing in the kidnapper in a heroic fashion.
Tonight, the mindfulness of a few good movers, stopping a possible abductor in her tracks with one simple yet heroic maneuver.
Oh my God, that's her. Yeah. Is it really? Yep, that's her. It looks like her. That's exactly what she looks like.
Employees from Camelback Moving Company jumping into action Tuesday just outside Phoenix after a security guard spotted a missing 3-year-old Kalani Rogers being escorted into a convenience store by a woman.
That's her. It looks like her.
The pair matching the description of Kalani and 23-year-old Marina Noriega from a blaring Amber Alert pushed out Monday night. The guys in the truck stunned, but quickly spring into action.
Security guard took a picture of her, and he's like looking at her. And in the thing it said the lady's wearing like pink pants. The Amber Alert that went out yesterday?
Remember?
Yesterday? That one. Should I block them? Should block.
So the movers quickly come up with a plan, putting themselves and their vehicle between the suspected kidnapper and her only escape.
Look, here comes the puppos right here.
Then holding their ground until police arrive.
I don't feel as if I'm a hero. It's just a good deed. We just did what anybody should do and try to help out and get the little girl home safe.
Did they take the girl?
Police IDing the woman as Noriega and taking her into custody. Court documents say Noriega was a random woman who family members brought to the residence to help as she was transient and needed a place to stay.
Go ahead, state your name. I'm Marina Noriega.
Kalani is safe and in good health.
And she stole their kid?
They say they do not believe she was harmed during the ordeal.
How do you guys feel knowing that she's safe?
Relieved, because when you get those messages from the Amber Alerts, it's like, you never expect to actually see these people, you know, or these kids. Both of us have multiple children, and, you know, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world. So we're really happy for the family and especially for the little girl.
Court docs say the victims were contacted and reunited with their daughter, who told her parents that she was scared and wanted her mommy and daddy, but she was okay.
I'm about to get the license plate. I'm about to just park in front of them.
The community tonight crediting it all to that one mover maneuver we usually never want to see.
This is absolutely the first time we have blocked a vehicle in where the entire community is fully behind us and happy that it was done.
And Steve Patterson joins us now from Los Angeles. Steve, such a scary story that could have turned out so differently if not for those movers. What more do we know about the suspect tonight?
Kate, during a police
Got
interview,
cat hair all over my
Noriega
face.
claims, allegedly, bizarrely, that she was the biological mother of Kalani, then later admitted that that actually wasn't true. She also admitted the glass pipe that police found on her person during the arrest was used to smoke meth while she was in possession
That was on
of
crack.
Kalani. She's being held
Oh, this isn't crack.
in jail, $250,000 bond. Kate?
Steve Patterson for us. Steve, thanks.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news.
Shut up, Tom Llama.
NBC News app, or watch
We
live
miss
on our
Lester.
YouTube channel.
A woman who has been missing for 24 years said she don't want to be found. Why'd you find her, bitches?
After 8:30 at night on December 9th, 2001, when mom of three, Michelle Hunley Smith, said goodbye to her children, ages 19, 14, and just 7 years old. She said she was going Christmas shopping at Kmart about 17 miles away, a routine trip. Michelle left her home in Eden, North Carolina, driving a green 1995 Pontiac Transport van, and she never made it home again. And it wasn't until
She pulled a baby
days
Billy
later, on December 31st, New Year's Eve, that Michelle's husband reported her missing. The Rockingham County Sheriff's Office then launched a search with multiple agencies, including the FBI. They combed the route between Eden and Martinsville, Virginia. This is where the Kmart was located, found nothing. And despite years of investigation, no trace of Michelle or her van was ever found. The case went cold. Michelle's children grew up wondering, did she have an accident? Was it foul play? Did she simply walk away? And then last week, detectives suddenly get fresh new information about the case. They follow up, and on February 20th, they announce they found her, Michelle Hunley Smith, alive, now in her 60s, living a whole new life somewhere in North Carolina. She's safe. And then comes the part that no one
in
expected.
the same state.
At her request, police are not sharing her location, and she does not want contact with her family, has asked for privacy. I'm joined now by Sheriff Sam Page with the Rockingham County Sheriff's Office to talk more about this. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Good for her. I don't know
why she left her family.
Well, I did have some information pertaining to that. Is when she was located, she was asked that basic question, and she said apparently there were some ongoing domestic issues at the time that she departed. She left on her own accord, but it was a reference to some ongoing domestic issues.
Is that something that you were able to corroborate?
At this point in time, we're not aware of any domestic calls or anything that I can be advised of that I can relate that occurred prior to her departure.
Did
but
she?
It looks like she. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
I apologize. I interrupted you.
No, I'm just saying. It looks like apparently she left on her own accord, but she did reference to domestic related issues.
Did she explain how she would be able to leave her children behind despite that, or not contact them?
I don't think we had a lot of information on that at this point. I don't think we had a lot of information.
How was she found exactly?
Well, I can't tell you exactly how she was found. Well, if I can just go into a little bit of detail, is when this case first started unfolding, we reached out to the FBI, different law enforcement agencies in Virginia and North Carolina, the State Bureau of Investigation from North Carolina, the DEA, and we started putting a lot of information out there, and also their databases. We work with the NCIC, the National Crime Information Center, and we share a lot of information across the country. And a lot of times the information we put in, if somebody runs across a vehicle, runs across a tag, runs across a name, or if somebody's found a body's found DNA information, we have that available. And a lot of times that helps us to solve these cases. On this particular case, we hadn't gotten any information or anything. It went basically cold at that point. But any leads that we had available, we worked diligently. But on February 20th, information came in on the 19th to one of our dispatchers and relayed that to the chief investigator. They assigned it to detectives to follow up on this information, and they located Michelle Hunley Smith, in another county within North Carolina.
Two questions for you.
Yes,
Any
sir.
idea what she's been doing? And two, how was she able to avoid being found?
I don't have that information. And again,
yeah, you don't know shit.
A lot of times people just can't just drop off the planet.
What does everybody think about his mustache,
we
though?
do
Is that a
track all
nice
information, but
mustache?
sometimes people avoid certain things to avoid identification, and
I like it.
can happen.
Does she have, I mean, can you tell us, does she have a whole other family?
They got 3
children?
more minutes of this. He ain't got shit to tell us. We know about the story now. We know what happened. A roommate caught on camera apparently sprayed insect repellent in a couple's food.
We're following a disturbing story out of the Santa Clarita Valley. A couple says they have video of someone spraying their food with insect spray, after coming down with a mystery illness. KTLA's Omar Lewis live in Santa Clarita with the details. Omar, good morning.
Hi there. We can tell you this typically quiet residential neighborhood here in Santa Clarita quickly became the scene of a barricade situation overnight, all stemming from what investigators say was a man's months-long plan to allegedly poison his roommates using Raid insect killer. And it was all caught on camera. This is the surveillance video captured by the victims, a couple who lives with the suspect. Watch closely here as investigators say this footage shows the man on 2 separate occasions spraying what appears to be Raid insect killer directly onto the couple's food and groceries while wearing a mask. The first incident was recorded back on October 10th, the second on December 20th of last year. The couple says they had no idea until now. Over those months, both developed serious and unexplained health problems. Their doctors told them their symptoms included liver and heart complications were consistent with possible poisoning.
See, we all have our own section of the house, and then we share the kitchen. That's it. And we have our own bathrooms and everything. And he broke into our room twice or more. We don't even know how many times before we changed the locks and realized it. Stole all my medication to where I had no medicine.
Clothes.
Stole my ID.
Dude, very obvious things that we
Cut
know
up all
are
of our
gone that we
clothes.
wouldn't do.
Yeah,
You know,
cut up all of our clothes. They have like cut marks.
We've had to replace our wardrobe, had to buy a new car. He's a psycho. Well, that's
He's
it.
mentally ill.
Yeah, I think he needs
There's got to be
help.
something
That's it.
wrong with them.
When the couple first discovered the footage on Monday, they called the LA County Sheriff's Department. Deputies did respond, but the real confrontation came Tuesday night when authorities returned, and that suspect barricaded himself inside the home for several hours. Deputies worked to coax him out peacefully. Eventually, the man did surrender without further incident. We are still working to confirm the suspect's identity, but deputies do say a can of Raid insect killer was also seized as evidence. As for that suspect, if convicted,
Everything was
he now
contaminated.
faces felony charges and could spend years in prison. That is the latest for now here live from Santa Clarita. I'm Omar Lewis. We'll send it back to you in Hollywood.
That is insanity. I don't know, anonymously. I just report the news. I have no comment on the state of humanity. Let's go to Huber Heights, Ohio, where a suspect was found inside of a garbage can. You would smell it, I would think. You spraying that much inside of the house, like this is a whole can or more. Everybody would smell it.
All right, take a look at this. Huber Heights police posted a video of a suspect who ran from a traffic stop. As Officer Perez was searching the perimeter, a garbage collector stumbled upon the suspect in a trash can. The suspect, who the department has named Oscar the Grouch, took off.
Was everybody watching that? One more chance here. as the garbage truck is picking up the load for the day.
All right, take a look at this. Huber Heights police posted a video of a suspect who ran from a traffic stop. As Officer Perez was searching the perimeter, a garbage collector stumbled upon the suspect in a trash can. The suspect, who the department has named Oscar the Grouch, took off and...
I'm sorry, one more time. People on TikTok and YouTube couldn't see.
Huber Heights police posted a video of a suspect who ran from a traffic stop. As Officer Perez was searching the perimeter, a garbage collector stumbled upon the suspect in a trash can. The suspect, who the department has named Oscar.
Did he lose his shoe? Oh, he did. He lost both shoes over there.
Of his shoes before being taken into custody by Officer Perez.
Bravo. One more time.
All right, take a look at this. Huber Heights police posted a video of a suspect who ran from a traffic stop. As Officer Perez was searching the perimeter, a garbage collector stumbled upon the suspect in a trash can. The suspect, who the department has named Oscar the Grouch, took off and even ran out of his shoes before being taken into custody by Officer Perez.
I love this job. Just amazing. A food delivery robot went rogue. Delivery robot drama.
Now at 5:30 and only on 5, robots going rogue. A food delivery robot drives through a woman's garden in East Hollywood, damaging her fence and crushing her plants in the process. It's the latest complaint against the delivery robots, with some worry the machines could wind up hurting someone.
And Jillian Smuckler is live for us in East Hollywood with a story you'll see only on 5. Jillian?
Hi, Rick and Karine. Yeah, imagine a robot just shows up to your house uninvited and then trashes the place on its way out. That's exactly what happened to a woman here in East Hollywood after a food delivery robot tore through her garden right out front of her home, leaving her screaming and chasing for it to stop.
Cocos have been relentless.
What sounded like ordinary street noise quickly turned into chaos when a food delivery robot tore through one East Hollywood resident's garden.
I heard a commotion. I came out here. I found the Coco in my garden.
Kaya Real says the robot known as Coco had already uprooted plants and gotten tangled in her fence.
Thanks, Coco.
When you saw the robot coming and tearing it all up, you're like, this is like hours of my time and work.
For sure, yeah, definitely. It did not feel good, no.
Then it kept going.
It had got my fence caught up in its wheel. It like uprooted a whole bunch of plants in my garden and then just drove away with the fence attached to it.
Real says she ran after it, yelling for it to stop.
I chased after it and I looked like a total crazy person, like running after a robot in the middle of the street, like yelling after it.
She says the robot didn't slow down, dragging fencing and palm fronds.
It's not like it can hear
parked cars.
Hear you.
I was like trying to block it, like get in its way, and it was trying to go around me.
Her neighbor, Roman Henson, says they heard it all happen.
And I just heard like this crunching sound, and I turned around and the robot has driven through the little fence and is like dragging it.
They tell us robots are a common sight in this neighborhood, and oftentimes they're unpredictable.
We got the Cocos, we got the Waymos, and yeah, they're coming for us.
And Real says what worries her most is safety, because this isn't the only incident raising concerns. In a separate case, a food delivery robot knocked over a parked motorcycle, and another one was seen abruptly stopping in front of a man using a mobility scooter. Real says moments like these highlight what she sees as a bigger issue.
I think the biggest part that worries me is like these private companies can come in and like
she pulls bangs
dump
off
their technology in our communities, and there's no sense of accountability.
She says the robots typically take up the full sidewalk where families, pets, and elderly neighbors walk daily.
It just feels like an accident waiting to happen.
And now she's documenting everything and reaching out to the company, hoping for answers before anything else happens. And I reached out to Coco for comment on this. I still haven't heard back, but Kaya did. She just heard back from the company actually a short time ago. They do say they're going to reimburse her for the damage done to her garden. They also said they're going to take some internal measures to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. So obviously a relief here, but so many other people have wrote into her as well saying they've experienced similar things. So definitely a step in the right direction,
I hate the
but
name.
a lot more work to be
The
done.
name
Live in
alone.
East Hollywood, Jillian Smuckler, KTLA 5 News.
All right, Jillian, thanks so much.
With a name like Smugglers, you know it's got to be good. If I was her, that's what I would sign off with. Drake, you know, I was just checking to see if there was 2 yesterday. I was just checking to see if there was one. No, instead I've got the story of this couple. They gave birth. Well, I guess she gave birth. There's only one problem. The baby isn't theirs.
Tiffany Score and Stephen Mills were over the moon when they learned she was finally pregnant after years of heartbreak.
They absolutely bonded through that pregnancy. They talked to the baby throughout that pregnancy. They played music for the child.
The Florida couple used in vitro fertilization, or IVF, to create 3 embryos. The first transplant didn't work, but they were overjoyed when they became pregnant with a baby girl named Shay. She was born in December of last year.
Tiffany underwent a C-section, and it was a very difficult birth. But ultimately, it produced a beautiful little girl. A little girl who, much to their surprise, had a very different appearance than what they had expected.
Despite the thrilling haze of breastfeeding and sleepless nights, they knew deep down something had gone terribly wrong.
The kid is swarthy.
So that must have been an incredibly bittersweet moment when they have the joy of birth and then the shock of a realization.
It became very apparent within a short period of time that the child that they had born was not their child.
Jack Scarola is the couple's attorney. He says a genetic test ultimately confirmed Stephen and Tiffany are not the baby's biological parents. The couple says they immediately reached out to their fertility clinic, asking for answers, but they didn't get a response.
Shay is an absolutely beautiful little girl. They fell in love with her. It absolutely grows every day, and it grows exponentially.
Tiffany and Stephen filed...
Yeah, I would hope they would still raise the baby and love it like their own and everything, but you want to get to the bottom of this because that does seem pretty fucked up.
Lawsuit against their fertility clinic and the doctor in a quest to locate Shay's biological parents and to find their 3 embryos, which they created and stored with the clinic.
They don't know when someone is going to show up at their door and say, "We found out you got our daughter, and we want her back."
How worried are they that somebody else is raising their biological child?
They worry about that every single waking hour of every single day.
Their lawsuit also asking that the clinic pay for the genetic testing of patients who could potentially be Shay's biological parents, and to
Okay, I can see what they're saying. Somebody else has their kid, and they have someone else's kid, even though biologically they gave birth to it. Would you be able to give it up if you found that person? Would you do the switcheroo on the kids? Because the one's DNA is your DNA, but you didn't birth it? That's a weird dilemma. What happens if they find the other couple and they don't want to give up the kid?
disclose any discrepancy in the parentage of children born from the clinic in the past 5
What turns out the new one
The doctor
sucks.
filed a motion to dismiss the case in response to the complaint, and the clinic has not responded.
We are in court looking for answers. As soon as
I got the white kid
get
that's
those
stupid.
answers for Tiffany, for Steve,
Gonna trade
for
it back
Shay,
for the
and
Indian
for
one.
anybody else who may have been unwittingly caught up in this terrible series of errors.
ABC News reached out to attorneys for the clinic and doctor and did not hear back. But the clinic's attorney filed a letter to the judge with a proposed protocol for how the clinic will investigate the suspected or confirmed embryo mix-up while preserving the privacy of all patients and children involved. Stephen and Tiffany aren't alone, although
And okay, so if they've done this one time, how many times have they done this and gotten away with it? Because it was a white kid and it looked close enough to the parents. You know, they couldn't prove it. They didn't have any suspicion or whatever. How many times have they actually mixed up the embryos?
extremely rare, IVF mix-ups do happen.
Now to
Extremely
the mother who gave up a
rare,
baby
my
boy at
ass.
5 months old after learning she was implanted with the wrong embryo.
I was his whole world. And you walk in the courtroom, a mom, and your whole life in your arms, and you walk out with, quite literally, I can distinctly remember walking out with an empty stroller, pushing an empty stroller back to my car.
Interesting one, an Ohio family suing their fertility clinic, claiming a DNA test revealed their 24-year-old daughter is not biologically related to her father.
We trusted implicitly.
From a couple who say their fertility
Yeah, I've done
clinic
this story a few
mistakenly
different times
implanted
now.
an embryo that tested positive for a deadly stomach cancer gene.
That was my sole purpose, was to have a baby that I didn't pass this gene on to.
IVF has been a life-changing gift for so many couples trying to have children. Recent data shows about 250,000 patients per year receive IVF cycles and other fertility treatments.
What a wild story. We've done a lot of moms killing their kids and then kid mix up. Let's do some traffic hijinks. This is from Florida. A truck crashing into an overpass. Everything's so calm so far. Uh-oh. Nope, that's not it. Oh, is that it? That'll do it. It's so tall. What in the fuck? I would think that sort of load would require like multiple trucks and flaggers and shit. It's sticking straight up. Like me when Joni Ernst is on camera. an overfilled dumpster. Yeah, it's kind of hard to check out. I'm going to turn the chat off. The chat's not going to be on screen so everybody can see better. A nice bridge. Looks very new. Is this around Disneyland or something, or Disney World? Don't look so good anymore. We got a giant spot on this side of it. It's Naples. That's a bridge in Naples, Florida. I thought that was like an old people community. It takes the back of the truck off. His front wheels came off the ground. Well, that was fun. Hold on, let me put the chat back up there. I think I'm going to make the chat small and in the right hand corner when we finally do get around to doing fucked up news. This happened in Omaha, Nebraska. Could be another sign we're at the end of the world as we know it. Earth just opening up and swallowing cars at an intersection. That's scary as shit. What do you do in that scenario? Do you get out? Do you wait? Does getting out run the risk of the ground coming out below you? Do you try to back away slowly like they're Homer in a hedge? He tried to go out the driver's side, then I guess he was like, no, it's gonna be easier to get out the passenger side. Is that a Jeep on the left? Okay, they're getting out there. Can't park there. Okay, is that some sort of landfill like they've got? Because that's a body of water right there, right? And this is going over water. They filled it in. So there's probably some sort of tunnel there. And the ground is shifted. Flash, what do you think? You think that's a pond and not a river? The truck and the little car back up there. Leaking water line. Ground sink in. Wild to watch. Let's see if we can get a story on it. This happened on Tuesday. It happened yesterday. If you said water main, you are correct.
Public Works says a water main break caused the exurban sinkhole. It trapped 2 vehicles near 67th and Pacific. Good afternoon, I'm Julie Cornell.
And I'm Quinicia Fraser. We have team coverage on the street collapse tonight. Izzy Fonfera-Drool is live with how to tell when a sinkhole is forming.
But first, we go to KETV Newswatch 7's Madison Perales with an update on what happened and the city's plan to fix that damage. Madison.
Hey, Julie, we are on 67th and Pacific Streets where you can get a pretty good view of the sinkhole behind me. Earlier this
afternoon, got that goth news in Nebraska now.
Working on the pavement, actually to my right across the street, trying to get these repairs up and going. Here's what we know so far.